Well, I think stay wide of the rider is pretty explanatory. It just means that whenever you see a cyclist, just if you can, if it's safe for you to do so, just make sure that you make a wide enough turn or pass around them as you're making your way down the road. Pretty simple. To be honest, I don't feel that safe out there cycling on the road anymore. It was different when I was growing up. In my neighborhood, I used to cycle almost every day. I used to cycle on my way to university. But these days, it's a little bit more dangerous, so I think twice about it. As someone who spends quite a bit of time on the road, I see a lot of motorists and I see a lot of cyclists. And what I can say is that there's a fair amount of intolerance going both ways. I feel that there are some cyclists that perhaps take a little bit of advantage out on the roads, but then you've got those motorists that have no patience whatsoever. So I think both sides can go a long way towards some sort of, in middle ground, peaceful get together. Absolutely, I believe cyclists deserve to be on the road. The road is for everyone to use. Cycling is a healthy sport. It is making people live longer. It's contributing to our carbon footprint in a great way. It's green. It's healthy living. It's what South Africa and Cape Town is all about. It's about the great outdoors. So absolutely, they deserve to be on the road. I believe 1 meter is a safe passing distance at the moment because I don't think our roads are going to get much wider. So I don't think that there could be a bigger distance that one could possibly practice without endangering either yourself or another motorist on the road. So I believe that 1 meter is a fair, safe distance to pass by. Just be cool. Sure, I think there's a lot of stress that happens out on the road. Perhaps some cyclists are out there to relieve some of that stress, and they find themselves in a more stressful situation. I would tell the motorists to please be patient. I know that's been said over and over again because people are in a hurry to get to where they need to go. They want to just get there. They don't want any distractions. They don't want any cyclists in their way. But I think they've got to just exercise some patience. To the cyclists, I would say, also observe the rules of the road. I think the rules of the road apply whether you're a motorist, a cyclist, a pedestrian. Everybody needs to obey the law. And I think when we adopt that kind of culture, that we obey the laws of our country and the laws of our roads, I believe we might be on our way to a better resolution. I believe government has a responsibility to all the citizens in the country, whether you're a cyclist or a motorist or pedestrian or anyone who's taking public transport, going on a bus or a train or plane. I think if you are a citizen of this country, you deserve to be out there, you deserve to be living your life, and you deserve to be safe while doing it. So I believe that in that respect, government has a responsibility to all citizens. Safe cycling suggestions. If possible, if there was a dedicated cycling lane, I think that would make a big difference, especially on really busy roads. If there was those sort of infrastructure put in place around schools where there are lots of kids, perhaps, making it safe in neighborhoods for even children to go outside and cycle in their street. I think it starts from there. So, in terms of tips and moving forward to the future, perhaps, our upcoming urban planners and, road designers will take cyclists into consideration when they are planning the rest of the city and the country's infrastructure. I think consideration is a big, important word there. As someone who's traveled quite a lot for my work, I've been fortunate enough to see many places, and I've been fortunate enough to live in many places and seeing different cultures towards, like I said before, obeying the rules of the road, obeying the law. What I've seen in terms of best practices overseas is that people are more mindful of each other. They're more mindful of the law, and there's a peaceful coexistence between all road users. And I believe that is the culture that is missing from a lot of people in this country. And I think that We need to try and adopt more of those kinds of practices: tolerance, patience, just being mindful of everybody else out on the road. I think that's important. Well, as someone who's been fortunate enough to travel a lot through my work, I've been able to see a lot of places and live in a lot of places, not my own country. I have observed that people from other countries, from other cultures, are perhaps a little bit more mindful of other road users, and I feel that we could go a far way in terms of adopting those sorts of practices: mindfulness, tolerance, knowing to obey the rules of the road, knowing to obey the laws of the country. I think those things are really important. And I feel that a lot of the time people think, oh, it's fine, they can get away with this, no one's looking, no one's going to catch them. And, it's that kind of culture that we need to change. I cycle because I love the feeling of the fresh air. I love the fact that I am doing an exercise that's going to benefit me and is going to make me live longer. I love being outside. I love the great outdoors. I'm a South African through and through, and I think that runs in our veins. It's this desire to be outside, and it's a feeling of freedom, absolute freedom. I've recently become a mom. I've got a 6-month-old. Life as I know it is completely changed, and there's no way that I will ever look at life the same way again. And it's also made me more aware of the dangers out there. So when I think about cyclists, when I think about motorists, when I think about people now, I have to think about the fact that they are probably a mom, a dad. They've probably got kids. If it's a child that I'm looking at, child just walking in the street, not looking around, that child is just a child, little baby. It's got parents, brothers, sisters, extended family. I think my whole mindset has changed, and for me now, it really has become a celebration of the sacred life, because it's so easily taken away. And I think people forget that. I'm happy and I feel grateful that I've been reminded of the fact that life is this precious gift. And I think people should just remember that. Come to think of it, the other day I had to stop on the highway. Even that, just stopping on the shoulder and the cars rushing past you. Your whole car actually does this. You're stationary, but, so if I had to put myself into the shoes of a cyclist, I have already felt very vulnerable out there. But if someone is, out there every day, perhaps is training for an upcoming event, like a big cycle tour, they're very, very vulnerable. They are very vulnerable. There's no protection for them. I often have to think about what it must feel like when they're out there with zero protection and have these cars, trucks, and buses just zooming past them at high speed. What that must feel like. Because, I know when you stop in your vehicle and cars are rushing past you, you can actually feel that. So what must that be like for a cyclist? And how little time it takes for the motorist, having that in their mind and being mindful of that, to do that 1 meter berth around the cyclist. A little bit more if they can. Because I think that's what they need to think about when they're driving. They need to think about the fact that this person has no protection. They're able to actually offer a little bit of protection by moving around and doing it so that the cyclist also feels that they are protected on the roads. I think that's important. A cyclist on the road is very vulnerable. They need protection.